Hi everybody,
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
And today we'll be talking about Destinies. This is designed by Michael Golbiowski, Philip Malinsky, and it is published by Lucky Duck Games.
You guys, this is a scenario-driven, app-driven game. Basically, you have these characters who have two destinies ahead of them, hence the name of the game. Which path are they going to take? It's up to you to find out. Let me show you how to play. Alright, when you're starting out a game of Destinies, this is what you're going to see. Basically, every player is going to have a player board. We've got a huge stack of item cards. We've got our different characters we might be using. We have all different tokens. Our dice, which are going to help us with our skill checks. And all of our map tiles, which basically the app is going to kind of tell us the rest of the setup. So we're going to go to the app, and we're going to hit play on the various scenarios. Every scenario has its own setup. You get to choose a game mode. We're going to be normal here. It's going to give you some flavor text. Some kind of what's going on here, basically. And then you're going to be able to choose which characters you want to be. So let's say I want to be the witch, okay? And then maybe Bethany's going to play, she's going to be the huntsman. All right, so that's going to be our setup. It's going to tell us what mini to get out, what our starting stats are going to be, and a little bit more information. All right, so now we have our intelligence, we have our dexterity, and we have our power tracks all set up. Basically, these are different thresholds. When we roll our dice, the more of those little markers that we are over, it's going to be how many successes we've achieved. We've also got our character mini. We're going to set that aside for now. And then we're going to keep on going. It's going to tell us the next character the exact same information. There's their mini. There's kind of their starting situation. And then it says, ready to go. All right. And now it's going to tell us how to set up the map. All right, so as you can see, we've now set up our map a little bit. It even tells us to put some characters or possibly some points of interest on the map as well. And you can see that matches what our setup says as well. So now what are we going to do? Well, we're going to interact with the map any way we want to. We can move to adjacent tiles, and it's going to flip over. We can move there, and then it's going to tell us what to add to that location. Maybe some more characters, maybe some points of interests, that kind of thing. It might even give us a little bit of plot and some background information about that location. All right, so we are the witch. So let's go to the witch here. We're going to flip over that card. There's going to be a left and a right destiny. Basically, these are the different win conditions for this particular character. So you can either perform a healing ceremony by helping 3 townspeople in need, so they agree to take part in the ritual, or you can reverse a spell and bring 2 ritual items to the Romani camp. So those are kind of the things that you're going to be looking out for as you are going through this map. Also, when you go to a new area, it's basically going to tell you what new things to look for. So it's going to flip over that tile. It's going to tell us add new tiles, flipped over into the unseen side. And it's kind of that fog of war situation where you can't see what's there until you get there. It's supposed to add a little token there. This is these standing stones. This is going to be a place that we can interact with. All right, so we go back to our app. We're kind of going to go back and forth between our app and the board basically the entire game. It says you want to visit standing stones. All right, we've got some music going on there. There's ancient symbols carved into the stones, but there's power here. The townsfolk fear and avoid this place. Do you want to meditate, pray, or search? Well, let's do a meditate. So basically it's saying do a blue skill check, an intelligence skill check. All right, so we've got this blue track over here. We're going to roll our 2 white dice always, but you can also choose to use your purple dice that you've earned. You get 1 back every turn. Let's go ahead and see what that looks like. All right, we're going to use our 2. We're going to use 1 purple that we've earned. We're going to roll, and we're going to get a total dice number. All right, we have a 1, and a 4. We have a total of 6, which only means we get to this point right here, which means we've only crossed 1 of those little success markers. We're going to put that into our app. We've got 1, and we're going to see what it says. Basically, it's going to give us some more plot. It's going to tell us we're going to lose some things, gain some things. Basically, we didn't have quite enough success to do what the game really wanted us to do, but we might be better equipped to do things the next time around. That's the main crux of the game. You're trying to explore these maps, interact with these different characters. You're trying to fulfill your character's destinies. There's 2 different ones. Whichever one's kind of making more sense for your character at that time, delve into that one. Try to finish it as fast as possible. That is your win condition. Pay attention to the other characters as well, because they might stumble into some areas and talk to some people that sound like they're talking about some of the things that you're interested in as well. So maybe you want to go over there, check out those same people, so you can get some more information, some items, whatever you need to complete your destinies. There's also a whole lot of items over here. The app's going to tell you which items to get out and when. Maybe there's going to be some horses you need. Maybe there's some food you need. Every single scenario is going to be different. You're going to interact with a whole lot of different items. It's going to tell you which items to get out of the stack whenever you need to get in there. And also, there's some usually one-time benefits. Sometimes there's benefits that can last throughout the entire game. And also, a lot of times within the plot themselves, it'll tell you to do certain things. Like, maybe you need to give a horse to someone in order for them to be able to be happy with their bosses, or whatever the case is. So there's tons of different ways to interact with those items as well. So the first person who's able to complete one of their destinies is going to be declared the winner.
I absolutely loved the skill trackers. Oh my gosh, that was so unique and so interesting. I liked how, like, when you think when we were setting it up, right? We're setting it up and we have no idea how the game is played. We're like, why are there so many high numbers? Isn't high good? Wrong! It's not good in this one. You want low numbers so when you roll the dice, you can do more things. And I really liked that. I like the probability of it and how you could get those extra dice. You got a new one of those dice every turn, except when you do horrible things like I do all the time and do things that your character shouldn't do, and they're like, lose a dice. And you're like, I wanted that die. But it is so fun and interesting, and I don't think I've ever seen something quite like that come out before in a game I've played. So I really enjoyed that.
I love it when games have different win conditions for different players, right? This did that. Not only did it do that, but every player had 2 separate win conditions, 2 separate paths they could take, 2 separate destinies, and they were very different. But both of them required you to explore quite a good bit of the map and interact with a lot of the map and the characters. So what you had to do is you could either kind of focus on one, or you could focus on the other, or you kind of simultaneously focus on both, kind of build them both up and see which one kind of presents itself as the opportunity to finish off sooner. I really thought that was interesting. Everybody had unique between players, all different win conditions, and they all felt balanced too. Every time we had someone win, the other person was like a turn or 2 away from winning themselves. So I thought that was a really great job of balancing, which would be really, really challenging, and they pulled it off really well.
I thought the app integration was really well too. It was done really well too. I still felt like this was a board game. This was a board game that had an app, not an app that had a board game, right? And there is a difference. There's a huge difference. And I thought the app just enhanced the gameplay to what was already happening. I didn't feel like it diminished what was going on. I mean, it just made it, just imagine this without the app. You would have to have a card right there, and then you'd have to have, like, whenever you visited a place, you'd have to have this card with, like, different set of answers there. You'd have to choose the answer. You'd go somewhere else. Blah! Who wants to do that?
Every single map.
Every single
You'd have
thing.
to have a chart of,
yes.
If you went north, go find this thing. You'd have to do it all the bookkeeping yourself.
Yeah, so I just loved how the app integrated itself into the game while not taking away from the gameplay. Like, I didn't feel like this wasn't a board game. This was definitely a board game that had an app integration in it, and I thought they did an excellent job with that.
There's a small little, I don't know if it's a catch-up mechanism is the right word, but, there was chances, where things might not go your way. You rolled the dice and they weren't high enough, you didn't use enough skill or whatever.
You did something you really shouldn't do.
A couple things might happen. First of all, even if you failed what you were trying to do, you might gain some experience. And the experience you could, cash in for making your skills enhanced and making them easier to roll dice higher than them, basically. And also, a lot of times you might get an item. These items were just cool, little helpful things that might help you along the way. Maybe enhance your dice rolls, maybe give you access to things that you wouldn't have access to otherwise. And you kind of just hang on to them, doing whatever you want with them. All those QR codes that are built right into the app, you scan them, and maybe you get a chance to have something that you got really early in the scenario. You got I'm going to make this up. You got a stick, right? And then, and then later on in the scenario, they're like, oh man, if only you had a stick right now. And you're like, wait, I do! And then you get to scan it with the QR code, and boom, it advances you past that scenario. So I thought that was a really great, item system where items were useful in the game as well as part of the overarching story as well, which is great.
Yeah, and speaking of the story, one of the things, like, my overall thought of this game is, well, here, let me say it this way. I can always tell that for me, a game is good and enjoyable when, even though I lose, it doesn't affect how much I enjoyed the game. And that was definitely the case for this, since I lost often, but I still knew what my character was supposed to do, and I was still able to at least attempt that and go in the right direction. I never felt like I couldn't do what I wanted to do. And on top of that, there's a story that was enveloping, this whole world that I was experiencing. And that was so much fun for me that even if I lost, I was still able to explore this world and go out in there and set out what I was wanting to do. And even on top of that, so it's a 1 to 3 player game. And with Ryan and I playing it, I could easily just as much go back and replay the whole story with another character and do completely different stuff with what that character needs because they're going to have a different destiny, right? So I just felt like there was a lot to explore, and that when it's all done being explored, I'm going to be a little sad.
Yeah, but I think that's great is that it gives you a little bit of a role-playing opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, you have these 2 destinies, and you're trying to have a little bit of backstory about your character. And you come across these, these different interactions as you're interacting with the board and these certain non-playable characters. And they might say, what do you want to do with this person? Do you want to take some money from them? Do you want to talk to them? Do you want to ask them about your destinies? What do you want to do with this particular person you're interacting with? And, yes, you could mechanically do whatever you think is probably the most likely to make sure you win. But I think, one of the times we were making decisions based off of, what would my character do?
Yeah.
I don't think my character would steal in this instance because of whatever. They're on some moral journey, and that's going to take them a step back or whatever the case was. So that was a really fun opportunity to kind of roleplay a little bit. One of our favorite games that we've played in the past couple of years was Journeys in Middle-earth, that Lord of the Rings game. This gave me huge Journeys in Middle-earth vibes. That's a full cooperative game. This is a competitive game, but at the same time, it is, you're not really fighting the other person.
Yeah.
Right? You are just doing your own thing, following your own destiny. And sometimes they are intertwined a little bit, but the point is, you're still doing your own thing. You're not fighting them directly. And it has that really neat kind of like a fog of war mechanism where you can't see the rest of the map until you get there. I really enjoyed that part of it. As you were interacting with the different parts of the board, they would be removed once you've fully explored them completely, or maybe there's still certain things out there that you'd be able to interact with time and time again. It's a really, really smooth system. The app just runs so smoothly behind the scenes. We just had a great time with this one.
Yeah.
It had the kind of spooky vibes. As the game gets on, it gets increasingly spooky. As you can see, you got this big old miniature that comes out onto the board later on in the game. And man, what a fun game. What a great experience.
Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you can see our videos as they come out. Until then, you can find us in all of these places. I almost just smacked you.
I know, right? Well, until next time, if I don't have a concussion or something, we'll see you guys later. Bye, everybody.
Bye.